Yes, Radhe Radhe everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita sessions. Pallavi ji is on her way. I mean, she's just trying to join. She was having some technical difficulties. So till then, over to you, Nitin ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Sandhya. Radhe Radhe everyone. A very warm good morning, good evening to all of you. And welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Today we are going to talk about the three lieutenants, three commanders of Maya, okay, invincible commanders of Maya who are tormenting us. And that is where we are going to spend a good amount of time today. And that interplay of those commanders, how it influences our lives and our minds is what we are going to discuss. It's going to be a very engaging discussion today because it's a very interesting topic. So let me share my screen, and like always, we'll get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. I encourage you to turn on your video. It just increases the engagement, and it's always good to put faces to names. Let me share my screen. Thank you. All right, let's get started. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. Radhe Radhe, everyone. A very warm welcome once again to another session of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. All right, so let's move on. It's a very, very interesting topic that we are going to take up today. When I understand, all these concepts, when I learned from Swamiji for the first time, they were quite a revelation for me, and this is no different. So let's get started. It's going to be 2.45. We are closing in on the Karam Yoga. 2.47 is Karam Yoga, but this is a very important concept. So next week we are going to spend fully on Karam Yoga, okay, the science of work, which is very, very practical, and all of us can actually take a lot away from that. Okay, but let's focus on today's topic of discussion. I'm going to recite the shloka, and then you're welcome to follow along. Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Okay, let's take a few volunteers to get the session going.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Krishna's flute.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nidvanvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Kshema Atmavan.
Very nice. Thank you. Krishna's flute.
Krishna's Nupur ji. Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Krishna's Nupur.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastho Niryogakshema Atmavan.
That was quite a promotion, Ashutosh ji, from Mahishasur to Krishna's Nupur. Okay, I think you must have done a lot of good deeds to make such a quick transition. So wonderful. All right.
Grace of Radharani.
Mm-hmm.
Grace of Radharani.
Yes, I can see that.
Riya ji. Radhe Radhe. Please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nidbandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmaman.
Wonderful, very nice, Riyaji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shyamji.
Shyamji. And thank you for Kurji, and I saw quite a few other faces for the first time for turning your video on. That always helps. Makes me feel bright that, okay, I'm talking to people and can see their reaction in between. So that always helps. So if you can, I would strongly encourage you to turn your video on. Yes. Thank you, Aparnaji. Good to see you.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Shyamji, please go ahead.
Traigunye Vishya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvostho Niryogekshamatvavan. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much. Shyamji.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Let the banner go away. Can you make the fonts bigger, a little bigger?
Oh, sorry about that. Give me a sec. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, better now. Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistragunyo Bhavajana Nirdvando Nitya Satsato Niyogakshema Atmavan. Radhe Radhe.
Nice. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Samji. Let's pick up a few more hands and we'll get into it. We have a lot of
Rahulji. Yeah,
content.
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Rahul.
Radhe Radhe. Traigunye Vishya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastho Niryogashema Atmana.
Very nice, Rahul. Thank you. Okay, we're down to our last 5 hands. Let's flip it.
Ramyaji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe
go
Radhe,
ahead.
Shri Ramyaji.
Radhe Radhe. Traigunnya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan. Thank you.
Very nice. And I would encourage all the participants on your places, you can do the lip sync and try as best as you can. It is very auspicious just to recite Bhagavad Gita. These words have come from Lord Krishna's mouth. So just listening and trying to recite it itself can have a lot of transformative effect. That is a power of these shlokas. All right, let's take the remaining hands real quick.
Pragiji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Traigunye Vishya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvosto Niryogashema Atmavan.
Pragji, last 3 hands.
Sandhyaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Traigunyo Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan.
Very nice. Last 2 hands.
Sumeshji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe everyone. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigунyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan.
Wonderful. Very nice. Ramesh, last but not the least, and thank you, Tejasvi ji. Good to see you.
Tejasvi ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryogashema Atmavan.
Very nice. Thank you, Tejasvi ji. And you get the best debut award today. All right, let's get started then. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying Vedas deal with the 3 modes of material nature. O Arjun, rise above the 3 modes to a state of pure spiritual consciousness. Freeing yourself from the dualities, eternally fixed in truth and without concern for material gain and safety, be situated in the self. Now, Lord Krishna is introducing the three modes of material nature. We would have heard about it, but we'll go really deep into those. Okay. What are these three modes? And what is the interplay of these three modes which is tormenting us? Okay. It's very important to understand this concept because anything and everything in this Maya is under the influence of these three modes. Everything. It's like it is cut from these three modes. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. These are the three lieutenants, commanders of Maya, which are invincible. We cannot defeat them on our own. Okay. Let's talk more about it and understand these. And it's in continuation with the shloka that we discussed, the previous one. So let's tie a hook to that and then proceed. So what we are going to discuss today is, you see the people, this is a very common scenario, right? We do see that we get upset with people. There's always a conflict of opinion. We are at loggerheads with somebody. We always have people, multiple people whom we pick fights with. And why this person is not reasonable, conflicts, difference of opinion, and all that stuff happens. Right? This tug of war is a constant battle all of us have to tackle on an ongoing basis, day-to-day lives. Okay. Now I'll tell you the secret around it. Okay. To help you put it in perspective. This is our topic for today. This conflicting thoughts, ideas, it is part and parcel of our existence. Why? How? We'll systematically tackle that today. Okay, so that you can see these things and have a good laugh about it. Okay, hopefully we'll reach that stage, but at least be able to see it in perspective. That is where Lord Krishna is giving us this message to rise above the dualities. This is what we are going to focus on today. Okay, let's move on. Get to our Shravan aspect of it. Now, Vedic knowledge, we looked at it, the categories. It caters to two segments. 80% of it caters to materially attached people. Okay, we have Tejaswiji today, so I'm going to take up that question here in this particular slide. I think you asked me a question, and I think it's a very relevant question for a lot of people. Hopefully, we are able to answer that. And the other aspect is the spiritual aspirants. Our scriptures, Vedas address both aspects of it. Now, on the material aspect of the things, if you look at it, there are ritualistic stuff. All the ritualistic ceremonies, you can do Ashwamedh Yagya, this Havan, that Yagya, all that stuff falls into the Karam Kand or ritualistic aspect of it. Okay. And the spiritual aspirants, Gyan and Bhakti, Upasana, Gyan Kand and Upasana Kand is what the scriptures tell us. Now, what are these ritualistic ceremonies and what is its place is what we are going to look at. Okay. Now, Lord Krishna is saying that to reject the Vedas, the statement needs to be understood in a very proper context. He's telling to reject that part, that reject the aspects which propound rules, regulations, ceremonies for material rewards. Instead, he needs to focus on the divine section of the knowledge which is truly elevating to which will take you closer to the absolute truth. He's asking him to reject those aspects which are Karam Kand in nature, which are more ceremonies, ritualistic ceremonies based. Okay. Now, any ritualistic activity, if it does not take us a step closer to God or helps us develop devotion to God, it is called in Bhagavatam, Shramev hi Kevalam. It is a pure mechanical exercise. Okay, it is a multiplication with zero. Now let's take an example of Sutak. Okay, this is something that people can relate to in India. So if somebody dies on a given day, we observe Sutak for that. It is considered inauspicious to celebrate or to embark on something auspicious on that day, Sutak. Now, we have lived infinite, right? And we have had infinite relatives. And there is a good possibility that somebody would have departed this world even on a Ram Navami and on Krishna Janmashtami. Is it not possible that it is a very statistical probability is very high of people dying on a given day? So let's say if we have somebody who died on Ram Navami, or let's say Janmashtami, any somebody whom we know, that means it becomes Sutak at that point. So are you going to focus on celebrating the birth of God, or are you going to take higher precedence to somebody who departed? That is the question. So this ceremony, again, it goes back to the same concept of paradharam and aparadharam. At a bodily platform, you observe these rituals. Okay? But when you think about this at the aspect of soul, they don't carry any weightage at all. Nothing whatsoever. In fact, a devotee says, my entire life is a sutak. Why? Because I have lost God. The God has departed from my heart. So a devotee's entire life is sutak. That is how a devotee looks at it. Having said that, people observe that. Now, if you look at Bhagavatam, it is mentioned even Prahlad, he did Shraddh for Hiranyakashyap, his father. Now, anybody who's killed in the hands of God directly goes to his abode. What is the need for Shraddh? So these rituals are done so that people who observe these seals, they will miss out on the big message. So it's part of behavioral competence or vyavaharikta in this world that people observe these rituals, even the people who come here. But actually seeking, I will share a video with you of Swamiji. This question was asked. There's absolutely no need for that, because when you attach yourself to the divine, see, Lord Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita is what? He's saying Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manuspar Yudhyacha. He's not saying Sarveshu Kaleshu minus Sutak Ma Manusmarcha. Right? He's not saying that. When he's giving an instruction, Sarveshu Kaleshu, that means he's asking you not to make an exception regardless of where you are or what you are doing. Very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, right? He's not saying, by the way, if you are going to an inauspicious place, or you are going to restroom, or if it is a sutak, then you make an exception. No, of course not. He's saying that. So the sutak and all that concept is at a bodily platform. People do that. But when you start attaching to paradharam, devotion to God, these things take a backseat. If you have to do it so that people around you will not, see something bad in you and start gossiping about it and stuff, that's a different matter. That's a personal call. But when it comes to from a spiritual principle standpoint, if you're thinking about God, doing devotion to God, celebrating God's birthday, even though God is not going to become upset because it is sutak, how could you do that? I think that has to be looked into perspective. And I'll share a lecture with you. This question was asked to Swamiji, and Maharaj has given a lot of, so that we can see it in perspective and not be scared about doing something which is as auspicious as thinking about God, going to the temple, or worshipping God, even though it is a sutak. Hopefully it answers part of it for you, Tejasvi. Right? And I've taken reference from Bhagavad Gita, right? Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manuspar. Lord is not saying that make some exceptions, okay, minus this and that. No, he's saying every moment you have to think. Now, if that was the case, a sutak would make us repeat in this world. Why? Because we have violated that principle during sutak. God is saying, remember me always. And in Sutak, we said, no, we'll make an exception, then we'll keep on repeating. We broke that principle. That is the final stage that we have to reach. So hopefully this helps put things in perspective around the material instruction and the spiritual divine. In Raganuga Bhakti, the principle, see, the scriptures have vidhi and nishedh. Vidhi means do's. Nishedh means don'ts. That is how scriptures talk, Vedas. When you follow the path of bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti, there is only one vidhi and one nishedh. Vidhi is do anything that takes you closer to God or help you develop love for God. Nishedh is don't do anything that takes you away from God. That's it. Simplified. This whole process is simplified. Now, if Sutak takes you closer to God, go ahead and observe it. If it doesn't, don't fear, reject it. It's very simple. But if we are operating in this world and people will carry some, and that carries a lot of weight in our head, then we just have to be smart around it. But other than that, it doesn't matter actually. Purely going by the scriptural principle here. All right, let's move on. three modes of material nature is what we are going to talk about here. Okay, the first one is mode of goodness, sattva. Second one is rajas. Third one is tamas. These are the three lieutenants I was going to talk about. Now, Shastras, if it did not have instructions for worldly minded people, then it would have become a very, very different ball game altogether, right? What do people do who are not concerned about talking about God, thinking about God, or that spark is not there? That is why Vedas have given them allurements that something is better. At least get on this path, and you know, once you are once you discipline your life around Vedic injunctions, even though you are doing it for material rewards to begin with, eventually it will lead you to God. Okay, that is why our Vedas have still given us instructions so that people have something to work with, so that they can rise from these modes and have this kind of an elevation. They go from tamas to rajas to sattva and beyond as well. Okay, we'll talk about that. So if you look at it, each gunas is actually associated with the color. Sattva is white. I mean, if I put white here, it will become transparent. You will not be able to see it. Okay, so I've just given it a little bit of shade. But sattva is white. Rajas is crimson, and tamas is black. So black is associated with ignorance, as we know. Rajas is crimson, red, mode of passion, and sattva is white, peace. Right? Normally we associate these colors. You know, I think some of the insurance companies they charge you premium if you take a red car, by the way. So all the people who are going to buy a new car, just think about that, check it out. Why? Because they think if you like red, that means you are in a mode of passion. Let's do it. And you may do something on the road also. I don't know how logical it is, but that is what they believe, I guess. And I've heard that they think that people who go for extremely red cars, they have a little bit more risk profile in life. Okay. I don't know if they are inspired by scriptures or what, but it's a mode of passion, basically. All right, red dresses, dark red stuff, right? It is super mode of passion, basically, when we go for that. And as we grow older, our fascination toward red color starts increasing, right? To make up for the gap that we start feeling in our life anyways. So that's a topic for another day. So let's move on. So as long as the soul or jeev is under Maya, he is impacted by three modes of material nature. There is no escape from it. Absolutely no escape from it. Okay, let's understand it very clearly. Now Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he's speaking at length in the 14th chapter. That entire chapter is devoted to these three gunas. We are going to touch upon some aspects of it. And these are the subtle forces that influence our behavior, as well as every aspect of our physical, mental, and the emotional world. So these aspects are very, very powerful, right? Like RBG, red, blue, green. So many combinations are possible. Similarly, these gunas, their interplay is very, very complex. Okay, we'll get into that in the subsequent slides, but let's continue for now. Now, Sanskrit term for guna is rope. Guna actually means rope. That is where this word is coming from. And because they are pulling us to act in, it's like puppet, right? Even that is a rope that is making you dance. So it's the same rope. These gunas are actually making us dance. We'll see how. Against our better judgment. They just make us dance. And Bhagavad Gita further goes on to say in Shloka 14.5 that, it says that mighty armed Arjun, in 14th chapter again, Lord Krishna is telling him that these gunas, they bind the eternal soul to the perishable body. Okay, these gunas basically deepen your conception as a body and take you further away from the realization that you are a soul. Okay, these are the gunas which are responsible for that. Okay, we can't underestimate these gunas, but they are very powerful. They control the activities of living entities based on their desires and permitted by their karma. It is very important to understand how these modes interact, and Lord Krishna gives us some of the symptoms through which you can get a sense of which guna is predominant in a particular person or in ourselves. Now he's going to give us a lot of indicators around it, and it's an introspective activity we can do as well. Which is my guna, predominant guna? Maybe there could be a nice business model. You can come up with a ring which would tell you which guna you are in right now. That will be very nice to know, right? It will say Rajas, Rajas, so you will be very careful. It will say Sattva, so you will be in a good mood. And if it says Tamasic, you got to be extra careful. Hopefully one day, science will evolve to get something like that. But then Lord Krishna is giving us a framework to understand that. That's what we're going to look at as well. Okay. Now let's get a little bit deeper into this concept. Sattva, Rajas, mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. These are the three gunas that we are talking about. Now, what are some of the symptoms? So, mode of goodness, it's when you are in an atmosphere of peace, serenity, harmony prevails in your environment, in yourself. That is some of the symptoms around it, right? When your mind is calm, you are in a temple or gurudwara or church somewhere, you are just in that sattva mode. It just seems peaceful at that point. Rajas is insatiable desire for things, and it happens when the senses come in contact with the object of senses. And Rajas is driving this world, right? We are predominantly, most of the people are in Rajas only. Okay, some get into Sattva. These gunas, they have different, and mode of ignorance is indicated when it's laziness, depression, intoxication, insanity kind of a deal. Now, most of the people, they are under the influence of these three modes. And if spirituality would have spoken only about who have crossed these modes, then it would not interest rest of the people. So that is why 80% of it is karma kand. Even in your friends or otherwise, you would have seen, right? There are people who enjoy. See, end of the day, these gunas will propel us, tell us, go here and seek happiness. We are seeking happiness, right? So people who are in tamas, they will say, oh man, I want to just sleep, for the entire day. Or they will say, let's party and have tequila shots, at least a half a dozen, that kick we are going to get. Or they will smoke away to glory. These are called tamasic pleasures that they will go after. Okay. Rajasic pleasures are all right, the ones we all know, right? It's like, these are the very common ones we go for. Pleasure, it could be for taste, it could be for movie, it's just hanging out and just enjoying, having a good talk and this and that. They're all Rajasic pleasures. Sattvic pleasures are some people, they like experiences. Let's watch sunset. Let's go for a mountain climb. Let's click, it's so serene here. Let's sit and just enjoy the calmness of the sea. They fall into sattvic pleasures. They are better. That will help you develop virtues, but they are also binding. If we start enjoying sattvic pleasures, still we are limiting ourselves because they are also binding, but they are better than the other pleasures. There's no harm in enjoying sattvic pleasures. It's better than the other pleasures, definitely. But they are also binding. We should not make the goal of our life sattvic pleasures. Some people say, right, it's not in acquiring objects, it is in experience. Experiences is what life is all about. There's a new buzzword. They want to go climb mountains, do skiing and this and that. Fine, you are going, connecting with nature. All that is good, but not good enough. That is also binding, because still operating in the mode of sattva there. Any questions? I see a couple of hands raised, or is it something that can wait? Or so let's go through that.
She
and
has
we'll come.
question, yeah, but she told that it can wait. Yeah.
Okay, that's good then. Let's complete that, and then we can come to questions all in one shot. So the sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic is definitely better, best of these. But it is still not good enough. That is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. Being good is good, but being good is not good enough. That is where Bible ends, be good. Gita says, good is good, but not good enough. Okay? Because it is also binding. So if people have a propensity to help others, be nice to others, gentle to others, do charity, associate with a cause, become patriotic without having bitterness, they're all sattvic gunas. They are noble virtues, yet not perfectly directed. Let's understand that very clearly. Some people say, I'm a good, honest person. I don't harm anybody. So I don't need to understand scriptural principles and all this hocus pocus stuff. That is fine, but it will still not take you past sattva guna. at best. That too also if you are working under an expert guidance. On your own, you cannot underplay any of these gunas because that interplay will continue. But yeah, relatively, sattva is better than the rajas and tamas. Tamas is something that will take your soul further into ignorance. So if you resort to intoxication, venting out anger is also tamasic pleasure. You know, when we vent out anger, that is also a pleasure. It gives you pleasure. That's why you do that, right? That is also tamasic pleasure, by the way. Taking intoxication is also tamasic pleasure. Hurting somebody and deriving pleasure out of it is also tamasic pleasure. So these are all tamasic pleasures. Rajasic are all right, you're not hurting, but you're just doing it for self. Sattvic is a little higher than that, right? Where you start associating with things, not material things so much, but you know, nature and those kind of things, and doing good deeds to others, and but you know, that selflessness starts creeping in and all those good virtues. But like I said, it's still not perfectly directed. Now let's move on. Let's get some WWF people. So here you see a wrestler. Now see, don't get freaked out because the other wrestlers are equally as handsome as this one is. So, and then you have another wrestler and another wrestler. Okay, these are the three wrestlers basically, and they are nothing but these gunas. And they wrestlers, they keep on wrestling throughout the day. None of these wrestlers is powerful than the others. One can overpower the other two, then the other two power this, and this constant tussle is going on throughout the day between these three wrestlers. And depending upon which one is predominant, that is where your mind will be. Sometimes you feel inspired in life. Oh, wow, God exists, and this is what I'm going to do in life. Sattva has taken over that point. Okay, and sometimes it's like, all right, take it easy. Let me have a cup of coffee and enjoy that latest Netflix flick, you know. Rajas has taken over, and then the tamasic, who knows God is there, right? This Babajis, they keep on saying the same thing, wearing that saffron cloth, you know, and then tamas has started taking over. And this interplay of gunas is something that is constantly happening throughout the day. Okay? The good news for us is that we have another wrestler here. Okay, and this wrestler is the power of our intellect and the witness consciousness that you can employ to read yourself, to evaluate these three wrestlers. Which one is taking over now? You have the ability to actually have that witness consciousness. Another tool you can make note of in your diary. Witness consciousness is a very, very powerful tool you can employ in all situations, right? The very fact that you can read yourself is a testimony to the fact that you are something different from your gunas or your mind or the things that are troubling your mind. It is a liberating thought. You are not that. You can observe yourself. So this intellect, use of your intellect and that witness, this power can be harnessed over time. You can develop this wrestler to be powerful than these three wrestlers. Okay. These three wrestlers will keep on wrestling for the rest of your life. Okay, there's no escape from it. The Gudamai Maya, Tridosh, Tritap, Panchaklesh, they will go away only then Lord Krishna says, all right, get lost. Till then, they will continue to torment you, but you still have an ability to observe them and say, I'm not going to play, you know, let you play spoil sport with my mind and my choices. That ability, people who realize that, they start progressing really fast. But we don't realize that we have that ability. That empowerment, we all of us have. And that might be one of the tools you may want to take note of in your notes, that witness consciousness and power of your intellect is something we should employ if we want to progress faster. Okay, so that you can become catch proof or pakad proof. Swamiji says that. Okay, you will become pakad proof from all these wrestlers. Okay, like wrestlers, they apply oil on their body, and when you try to catch them, they slip. So similarly, with your intellect, you can arm this wrestler with all the oil and become pakad proof or catch proof. You can slip out of these modes, and with continuous practice, this wrestler will continue to become stronger and stronger and stronger till you reach a point where you say, okay, Mr. Mind, I'm not going to dance to your tunes and I'm going to tell you what you need to be thinking. rather than letting me think what you think I should think. Okay, that was a lot of think, but I hope you got the point. Okay. So this is the whole idea. So from a tool standpoint, this witness consciousness and arming your intellect with right knowledge and contemplating upon it sufficiently so that when this interplay of guna starts happening throughout the day, you will get into it. You can observe yourself in your diary. Say most part of it, my mind was like playing these tricks and it was putting me in a bad mood and depressing thoughts and negative chintan, and I felt like having a drink or I felt like venting my anger on this. You can actually make a note of that and see which is your predominant guna for most part of your day. Okay. And you are not obliged to write that. I'll tell you through an example so that you can appreciate it. And you say, what is the practical relevance of it? There is. Lord Krishna is saying, if you can read it, you can do something about it. If you could not read it, that means you are obliged to just follow along. But that's not the case. Okay. That is the good news. How? Let's look at it. So this is who we are, not the body, but the soul. Now, if you're in a mode of sattva, you will say, I'll go for something. I'm going to go for something that is going to promote longevity, happiness, satisfaction, and all that stuff, right? Fresh lime water and nice fruit, vegetables, stuff like that, if you're in that mode. Then if you, let's say you're in a mode of rajas, you'll say, let me have something, inflame my passion and go for something spicy, chili, hot cup of coffee and stuff like that. It will inflame your passion, but eventually it will lead to ill health, agitation and despair. Okay. Or if you are in a mode of tamas, you will say, let me have a good smoke and some, steak or chicken and along with the beer, and then that is all I need today after a long tiring day. Right? A lot of people, when they work Monday to Friday, Saturday, this is all they want to do. Right? That is the way of unwinding or releasing stress. So all three options are there based on which wrestler is predominant. All three things are there. Now, one part of it is your one of the guna is predominant, but the other aspect of it is that your sanskars are also dictated by the choices you have done in the past. So the predominant guna is dictated by the choices you have done in the past. Okay. So let's say one of the wrestlers is predominant. So we've looked at three possibilities here. Having said that, what I would like to eat is determined by your guna. That is what your mind is telling you. It is craving for that. What is it dictated by? It is dictated by that predominant guna at that time. What I would like to eat is guna. Source of energy to lift and eat food. Okay, this is the concept of doership, is super soul, energizer of the soul. Okay, let's not get too deep into that. But what I end up eating is a free will. Just because you felt like eating something, right? And with witness consciousness, you are able to read that and you are able to exercise that discrimination that, what, my mind is telling me, but I know it is not good for me. Then that free will, you can override your guna. Okay, so that ability is there. You cannot say, I felt like, so I had to do it. That's a very lame excuse. You tell a person, okay, why do you work so hard? I have to work hard. I'm a workaholic. I have to reach my next position and I have to support my family. All kind of arguments they will give, and they continue working till 1 in the night, and 3 a.m. they'll get up and start working again because they have a good motivation to do that. Okay, doctor comes and says, if you don't stop doing that and don't take rest for next month, your heart will say thank you to you and you have only 2 months to live. Just look at that person. Immediately he'll take month off and say, okay, that's all I want to do. Right? That is the power of our intellect and the free will. So these are all lame excuses when we say, my mind tells me and that this is important, and that is why I'm doing it, because my guna is driving me to do that. Right? A lot of people who are driven by rajas, they just want to work a lot. But the day they are convinced that they have to balance it out with their health and stuff, they will make the necessary corrections around it. That means there is some higher ability they have which can overpower or overrule even the gunas or even their natural tendencies. And that is what Lord Krishna is saying in Buddhi Yoga, activate that power. Okay, don't be subservient or slave to your gunas. Don't use it as a lame excuse that my man, I felt like and I have to do it. Okay, my sanskars are driving me. Your past choices become your present sanskars. That means your present choices will become your future sanskars. And you can override your guna using your free will. That ability all of us has. If you don't believe it, try it tomorrow. You will understand. Just observe yourself by witness consciousness and tell your mind, no, I will not do it because of so and so reason. And you will see you do have that ability. Okay. Now, let's move on. No discussion is complete until we do a bit of a nididhyasana around it, right? Now, one person, we have time, right? Yeah, we do have. Now, there is person one. Okay. This person has 60% sattva, 20 rajas, 20 tamas. Okay. Then there is a person 2. So dominant guna we see is sattva. Then you have a second person. He has sattva, rajas, and you can see the mix there. His dominant guna is rajas. And then you have another person whose dominant guna is tamas. Right? So these are dominant gunas we are talking about. However, in all of us, the interplay of gunas is changing constantly, moment by moment throughout the day. Okay. Statistically, mathematically, there are infinite permutation combinations that are possible for what is the proportion of gunas each person is in. Okay. So if two people are predominantly in sattva, the odds of the proportion, right, it could be 60% and another person may have 60.5 or 60.05, right? Still they will have a conflict. Okay. So the most unreasonable thing that we do in our lives is to expect other people to be reasonable. Okay. This is the most unreasonable thing, being naive. If you understand this aspect, case in point, the question is, at any given point in time, can any two people have matching gunas? Purely mathematically. Is it possible? Not possible. Okay, so when you have conflicts with people, it is a natural way of life. It is inherent to our very existence because it is the interplay of gunas that we are subservient to. So this expectation, why does this person never understand me? Or why my boss is like that? Or why this person always has a problem? The problem is we are thinking of it as a problem. This is actually an interplay of guna. That is how it's meant to be. If you go to an asylum or go to a hospital, you don't complain, why am I seeing sick people around me? So people who start rising above dualities can understand it as an interplay of gunas. People who don't simply participate. Reaction game. They start following the reaction game. Because our attempt is to get their gunas perfectly aligned with ours, which is not how nature has designed us. So it is a futile battle. Now, if that is the case, how is the world operating? World is operating because we are utilizing our intellect to somehow manage situation around. If everybody could read everybody's mind, or if everybody could understand everybody's mind, what's going on, this world will come to an end. Okay, we'll go to war. If husband and wife could understand what person is thinking about me or any person or friend, they will go to war. So it's with behavioral competence and the level of intellect that we apply, this world is kind of getting managed. Yesterday, somebody asked, do we become a doormat? You know how smart our intellect is? Have we ever vented out anger to our boss in office? Of course not. Our intellect knows when to vent it out and when not to, because it always flows top down. Have we ever picked up a battle with a dignitary who has abused us or shown disrespect to us in a big hall? No. Even though we are feeling very upset and angry, but we don't take a moment to vent it out on somebody who's our close relative or whom we think we can get away with. That is because our intellect, our gunas are telling us it's okay. Go for it. Go for the tamasic pleasure. Go for the dopamine kick. You may not get this opportunity again. Okay. The very fact we get into altercations or this expectation that the other person has to understand me, and why don't they understand me? Why can't, they think the same way as I do, is being very, very naive. It's not statistically possible. Even if two people have, let's say, sattva guna, they go to satsang. One has more sattva than the other. After 30 minutes, they'll say, okay, we have had enough of it. Can we go out for a movie now? Other person had a little more sattva active, he'll say, no, let's sit for another 15-20 minutes, such a nice discourse is going on. So even within sattva, you can have complications because your proportion may vary. And then it is constantly in flux. Our gunas, we are not controlling it. People who start rising above dualities can control that, right? They start getting better in sattva and finally going beyond that. But other than that, it's a constant interplay. Even you will struggle with your mind. Sometimes you'll feel inspired, sometimes you'll not feel inspired. You will not know what's happening. But what's happening here is Krishna is saying, you are under the three modes of nature, and they will continue to have an interplay throughout the day. The best thing we can do to ourselves is to keep on. Now, in this case, the next point is, I'll take some questions and maybe one point to discuss as well. Krishna is advising to go beyond. Why not stop at sattva, right? Because that is binding. So I know we have some announcements to make as well. We can make that and then we get into a bit of a discussion. Some questions are there as well. So one announcement I wanted to make was around Maharajji's centenary celebration. So what we need to do is, do we have anything that we are going to post for the participants for the function that is going to happen? And it's on October 9th. It will start at 6 p.m. CDT. Okay, you can mark your calendars for that. Now we would like devotees to participate. You can form a team of 4 to 5. Okay, you can form a team of 4 to 5 and you can showcase bhajan, any bhajan of Maharajji, enact through dance, leela, singing, all of the above. And 3 or more members are needed. That is another thing. And each entry has to be limited to 4 minutes. Okay, and you can actually register for that. And there's going to be trivia, and that trivia and quiz will be hosted by yours truly. So I look forward to maximum participation from this class. It will be good to see everybody participate and know more about Maharajji. We'll have a quiz and trivias and a lot of presentations, that devotees would come up with. I would strongly encourage you to register for that. Do we have details around that that we can post, or I can try to do that? And those registrations have to be submitted by October 4th.
Thank you, Nitinji, for all details. But right now, I don't have any links or anything more details to share. And as I get that, definitely I can post that. But I don't have any flyers or links here right now to share.
So the October 4th, first of all, you can form the team and think about what you're going to do for 4 minutes. Once you have made up your mind, we will share you the folder link or where you can submit your presentation of that. But get the thought process going and mark your calendars, block it 6 p.m. CDT. That will be, I think, 4:30 a.m. It's a little bit early, but you can do it, I'm sure. You can ride your tamas gun that day and say, okay, I'm going to propel it into action. So that was one announcement I wanted to make. And then we have a wonderful Garba going on at Dallas right now, RKD Temple. Friends and family, put the word out and go and dance. You can dance your heart out into the big hall that we have right now. A wonderful celebration, great food and festive atmosphere that you can relish. So if you're in and around Dallas, do check it out as well. Anything else, Pallaviji, you wanted to announce before we get into our discussion segment?
Yes, the reminder about the Mahishasur Mardini, Lalita Sahasraram, which is going to be 6 p.m. Every day. And there's a meditation with Swamiji, 10 a.m. every day. So that is also going on from September 23rd to October 4th. So enjoy and have a very blissful and devotional happy Navratri to everyone.
Thank you.
And there are Swamiji's tour information. I'm going to put that in chat. That is now Swamiji's tour in US is from September 24th to 30th. It's going on in Sunnyvale, California. And India's tour is going to start from October 13 onwards. I'm going to post the link in the chat. Also, feedback tracker link is posted in the chat. Please put your feedback, comments, and questions in the feedback tracker.
Yes, and we have an interesting segment coming up later today where Pallaviji is going to render her voice today. And we have a bhajan mashup going on as well. Not today. Okay, did I put you on spot? Maybe not. Okay, couple of items, but let's get the discussion going on the topic that I know we covered a lot of theory today. Would like to hear any questions that you may have or anything that you want to add. So
Yeah, thank you so much, Nitinji. We can go ahead and take questions.
sure.
Yeah, thank you, Ramyaji, for waiting. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe all. Radhe Radhe Nitinji. I had a question in one of the early slides where you spoke of the ritualistic activities.
Mhm.
You answered most of my question while I raised my hand, but I felt like some part I should still go ahead and ask. Yeah, this part. If suppose if somebody tells me that there is a ritualistic activity and if you do this, your spirituality will increase, your bhakti will increase, but it is ritualistic, then should I give it a try?
So can they give you a guarantee, money back guarantee for that? If you think you can, by doing that, it helps you develop love for God, go for it. It may be, you may have a placebo effect, but can anybody prove it that this ritualistic activity will help us improve our love for God? If maybe that practice does, then go for it. The simple yardstick is anything that helps us develop more love and devotion for God, whatever it is, go for it. And if it doesn't, then reject it. This is a simple principle around it.
So there's no harm in giving a try and checking out, right?
Yeah, check it out. I mean, if something helps you build your connect with God, anything that is a means to that greater end, go for it. But the key thing is, it should help you develop love and faith for God. It should not just become a shramev hi kevalam kind of an exercise where it's purely mechanical and, we can fall trap to that as well.
Okay, thanks, Nitinji. Radhe Radhe.
What is Radha?
Nitinji, again, the same key point is there. The mind needs to be attached, right? If mind is not attached, then whatever we are doing, it is not going to help at all.
True. Mind needs to be attached to God, right? When Lord Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmar. So who remembers? Mind does that. Not our senses don't do that, right? It's the mind. The whole game is of mind only. We have to mind and mend our mind because the mind has a mind of its own.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, I see Samji's hand raised. Krishna's flute.
Yes, Krishna's flute. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
So Nitinji, see, going to pub and enjoying.
I have done that.
I mean, if it comes.
Myself. Okay.
Sorry.
I've done that myself too. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. If that comes under passion, see, anger for a reason. I want to live so and so life and so way, but you have obstructed me and showing anger because of that. How is that? How does that come under tamas?
It is because you are deriving a pleasure by venting out your anger. That is called a tamasic pleasure only. You have obstructed.
So anger in general is tamasic only. It doesn't come under.
It cannot be sattvic, right? And it's not even. I mean, I don't know. There's called something called sattvic santap, also, right? Smitaji uses that word. I don't know. There may be some categories of anger as well, but anger generally that we get falls into tamasic because we do harm for ourselves and for others also. So how can something which is harming fall into any other category? It's a very simple principle, right? Secondly, krodha, we have that, right? That shloka. What is that shloka? Krodha sammoha smriti bhrinshad and then buddhi nasho pranashit. That basically anger leads to the ruin of our intellect. How can it be sattvic or rajasic in that case? It's leading to a ruin of mind. People kill people when they are angry. And there have been such anger that it has just changed the course of their lives. Anger in itself is tamasic.
Okay.
Yes, so the saints, when they use the anger, it is like there was a story, right? There was a king and he said, who are you? There was a saint who comes to his courthouse. He said, servant of my, you are the servant of my servant. He tells the king that you are the servant of my servant. Okay. So how he explained was, because this king was being upset with him. I forgot the entire story, but the point was that the king got angry, upset, because he was under the influence of anger. That means he's slave to the anger. And this guy said that anger is my slave. I bring it whenever I need it. So you become the slave of my slave. So the saints, they can bring anger when they need. Sometimes they need to use it. But for us, we are the slave of anger. Anger brings, it comes uninvited and we can't control it. Okay, let's hear. A few more hands are raised.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. My question was like, is it straightforward to distinguish when we are engaged in seva and satsang, whether we are operating in the mode of goodness or we are in the gunatit sort of aspect?
It's not easy. Obviously, the more awareness we gain about ourselves, we'll get better over time, because in seva also, we can fall to the trap of Lokaranjan. It's called a Lokaranjan, where we are entertaining ourselves. Right? So it's a very subtle thing. But I spoke to Swamiji on this, and he said that we have to discount people a little, at least to begin with. Right? Seva, at least somebody starts doing seva, even if it is self-fulfilling. It cannot be nishkam to begin with, right? It is still sakam. We pick up seva that interests us. We pick up things where, we even in seva world, we want to work with people who are favorable and something that is appealing to me. All these things will happen, but it is fine, because we have to cut a little bit of slack to us to begin with. But eventually, it has to go to the next level, right? Nishkamta has to come if we truly want to gain. So yes, this aspect, the more awareness we will gain about ourselves, we'll understand. So my policy is to try to pick up the most uncool seva. Okay, not anukul, but uncool. Uncool is something that you prefer. Uncool. That way you can limit your exposure to entertainment and just do your stuff and come back. Okay. I mean, I try to pick it that way, because when I'm operating in sevas, you're trying to enjoy the rajas aspect of it as well, right? Holy Fest happened, so I realized I'm dancing away to glory for a little bit. But then I said, okay, let me do the cleanup and make up for that. It can happen. But it's a pretty advanced stage where it completely becomes nishkam and you forfeit and let go of everything. But self-awareness will help us gauge it for ourselves. It's an introspective thing more than anything else.
Like witness consciousness will help here as well, I guess.
Witness consciousness, yes. Witness consciousness, am I doing it? Am I doing it for my own enjoyment, or am I okay to put in hard yards just because I wanted to do seva here? That is, I say, the more the menial the seva is, the more purifying it is. So if you pick up a seva of, let's say, washing utensils, or picking up shoes and putting it in row, or cleaning up, brooming up a kitchen after everybody has left, it is more purifying, it is more uplifting. So seek out those opportunities, as opposed to things that will all glitter and stuff, people will watch you and you'll get visibility. Those kind of things you have to watch out for as well. You can fall trap into those kind of things, or even in seva world. Right? So if you want to gain more benefit out of this whole concept. But yeah, I think we have to be a little lenient, especially once we start seva. I'm not saying we continue, but these kind of things will take time for us to evolve, for sure.
And there were some questions that came directly to me via chat. Should I just read them out? Sure. So Surinder ji had asked, is matching of gunas for matchmaking in marriage context has something to do with this? What you?
Oh yeah, so I think it has to be right mix. I don't know about that, right? If you have all the gunas matching, then right, like I and my wife, they say, Pandit said, wow, match made in heaven, so all gunas will match. So if you have to sit at one place, the other person will also want to sit at the same place, right? So I think the right mix is good. And my mom, and if she's around, I think if she's there, yeah, she's there. You know how many gunas their match? The secret is going to be out today. My mom and dad, they're any guesses?
All 36 gunas, 36 or 32, I don't know, what do they call?
That is great optimism, Pallaviji, you're talking about, right? This optimism would have enabled you to extract milk out of stone. They had only not even 3, 2.5. That Pandit was very precise, 2.5. Okay. And her birthday is on 1/3, and my dad's birthday is on 3/1. just birthday also, but they've been able to row the boat together, right? So I think it goes much beyond gunas. Having a good mix of guna helps, but that's not the only thing. I think there are a lot of other things, especially with the free will, wisdom, and other things are much more important as opposed to gunas alone. So you can still row the boat. But yeah, I think healthy mix is probably good, but I don't know how we can actually evaluate that to perfection. So
Another question is from Abhiji. Radhe Radhe, Happy Navratri. And then his question is, why do we get affected by these three modes of nature so much? It's so hard to rise above them. Is there easier ways to get out of them?
yes, why do we get? It's a very good question. It's like a postman delivering your mail to you. We are the authors of our destiny and our sanskars. And the reason you are asking why is because we have made certain choices in the past, because of which we have inherited these gunas. The kind of choices we will make in this life, they will become our future gunas. And how to rise above them is through knowledge and contemplation. That is there's no magic pill for it. People think that the moment they start with spirituality, some magic should happen immediately. Doesn't work that way, right? Even when a farmer sows a seed, it takes a while for the crop to come. Similarly, we'll have to nourish it on an ongoing basis. And then after a while, when God's grace starts mixing into our efforts, we will surprise ourselves by seeing we have come a long way. So the only way to rise above our gunas is through proper knowledge and the power of contemplation. Only when you will have a proper knowledge. Now, did you know that you could observe your gunas, or you could have a sakshi bhav, or do you have an ability to even override your gunas? How did that came? By proper knowledge. And if we believe in that knowledge, we practice it, we will start rising above the gunas. So that's the only magic pill around it. And if it doesn't work for you, increase the dose. There's no plan B. By having proper knowledge and through practice, that is the only way. There's no other magic pill. And if you want to accelerate the process, start engaging in devotion. Listen to God, bhajan, kirtan, start developing more. That will automatically start cleansing your mind. And when your mind is cleansed, the impact of your gunas will also start becoming better. You will start having more mastery over your gunas and your mind. So devotion is a Ramban or the silver bullet for everything. Just immersing your mind, having that one-on-one time with God, doing your sadhana, attending satsangs, listening to bhajans, doing roop dhyan. They are all the tools and techniques which will help you get better with everything, anything and everything that we need on this path of spirituality. Okay.
I see a couple of hand raised, Nitinji. Should we take Lakshmi ji? Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
So yeah, technically our session ends at 10, but we will stretch it a little bit, maybe 5-10 minutes to take as many questions as possible. So if you have a question, then I think we can quickly discuss that. And we have a bhajan mashup coming up as well today. Bhajan mashup. Okay, good. So we'll take 5 more minutes and then we'll go to the bhajan mashup. And the remaining questions you can put it on the feedback tracker. We'll take it up tomorrow. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe, can I?
Yes, please. Lakshmi.
Yeah. Can you
And then
put
we'll
some
take
words?
Manoranjan ji. I've seen him after a while, so we'll take Manoranjan ji and maybe one more. Yes.
Witness consciousness, could you put some more words on that, please?
Sakshi Bhav in Hindi, it is called Sakshi Bhav. In Gyan Marg, it is the tool. In Bhakti Marg, it is one of the tool. And it is witness consciousness means that Lakshmi ji, when she is riding the bus or in her hospital, she can actually read her own mind. Okay, my mind is saying that. My mind is now getting into this mood. My mind thought that. Reading your own self is called witness consciousness. So rather than being a participant, when we start becoming an observer, that's wonderful things start happening. And that is what is called witness consciousness. It's a wonderful tool on the spirituality.
Okay, thank you.
So you are becoming witness to your own self. You are becoming a witness to your own thoughts. That is called witness consciousness.
So does it get influenced by the observer on the other side, apart from,
No, it's your own thing. You are observing your own self.
Okay.
So if the other person on the other side whom you are thinking about, that changes, then your thought may change, but you can still observe yourself, right? That, okay, I had hatred sentiment, now it is becoming loving sentiment, now it's becoming neutral sentiment. You can observe yourself.
Okay. Thank you, teacher.
Please.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe, namaskaram. Manoranjan ji.
Yeah, namaskaram, Nitin ji, and happy Navratri to all of you.
Happy Navratri.
I have two things to say. The first one is that whether we are going to discuss on the other part, that like Nirdvanda, what is the meaning of Nirdvanda? What is the meaning of Nitya Satyastva? What is the meaning of Niryoga Kshama? Whether we are going to discuss on that? Because we have only discussed the first part of the sloka.
Sure, we'll discuss that as well. Today I took a lot of time on gunas because 3 modes were discussed. So sure, we can get into that as well.
Absolutely. So my question to you is that when we are discussing about gunas, so is it that the intention with which we do activity decides our mood, or it is the activity itself which decides our mood?
Intention, of course, intention leads to action, right? So yes, intention matters a lot basically at that point. So if you are actually sleeping because you want to give your body rest, right, so that you can do the devotion, or you may have to do a long night out for a bhajan, yes, that intention will make that tamasic activity where you might be oversleeping a sattvic activity or gunatit activity. So intention mode definitely counts there as well. Intention is the key thing behind any activity. Or you may be doing a sattvic activity of helping somebody or doing charity, but if your intention is to turn your black money into white, and it becomes tamasic. So the motive or the intention actually is what God knows, not the actual activity that you are doing from the outside. That is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
okay, one more question and then we move on. Manoranjan ji. We cannot make it a one-on-one, because there are other hands raised as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, maybe we can take one more and then we move to our devotion segment.
Can we please take Annapurna ji?
Sure.
Radhe Radhe Annapurna ji, please go ahead.
Yes. When we were discussing about the gunas, somebody asked the question whether, when they set the marriage for bridegroom and bride, do they look into these gunas? I remember, in Panchang, there is something called Devagana, Manavagana, and Rakshasagana, they look at those things, whether girl is from Rakshas, every, that nakshatras that you are born in, some falls under Rakshasa Guna, some comes under Manava, like that. They look into those things. They say Rakshasa and Danava, they always fight or something else like that. Deva is good. Deva Manava is good. Something else like that. I was reminded, I thought I can bring it up. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Annapurna ji. Yes, that's right. So if you have anybody who's looking for a matchmaking, we can run it by Annapurna ji. I think she seems to have expertise on these gunas. She'll tell you that if you're going to fight after marriage or not. Okay, so Annapurna ji, keep that.
I will predict.
Okay.
Then if I fight, I have a marriage counselor, my daughter.
I was told by somebody to find somebody, who has Deva Gunas. So I couldn't understand. Thank you for explaining that to me today in more detail. Okay. All right, we can probably take one more question and then we move to our devotional segment because I think, we would like to wrap it up by 10:15 or so, or 10:20. Manishi, you had something as well?
Please go ahead, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, wonderful session, Nidhi. I think you answered my question. It was regarding the witness consciousness. I was wondering if it's similar or comparable to the Sakshi Bhav, which it is. So.
Very nice. Yeah, witness consciousness is a very powerful tool. So if one takeaway you want to do, just have that witness consciousness that I'm going to practice that, reading myself. The moment we become an observer, that itself will start bringing in a lot of transformation just by becoming an observer. That is how powerful it is. All right, Krishna's flute, you want to play the flute, or is there a question, or?
Please go ahead. Radhe, Radhe.
Yeah. Nitinji, if you could elaborate on how the choices that we make lead to our gunas in future, then I want to know the details.
That is the only thing I will not explain today. So look at it, think of it. The choices that you are making today, right? That will become your sanskars. For example, if you are indulging in something, right, that is a conscious choice you are making, that becomes your sanskars for the future. And that is basically gunas are born out of that only. So if you like to sleep, let's say, for example, you like to sleep a lot, you like to eat a lot, or you like to indulge a lot, intoxication, right? And stuff like that. That means you have already created a baggage of tamasic guna for future that you will have to come out of. Because we repeat with the same mind, right? With the same chit. So whenever you are reborn as a human, which is whenever it happens, you will still have the same chit. Those tendencies will come very naturally to you. Some people are married to slothness. So by the way, tomorrow we are going to discuss, we will jump to 14th chapter, and I'll pick up a shloka which will tell us which is the thing that can derail our journey. So we'll talk about the tamas guna a little more in detail, because we're talking about gunas. I'm going to take the liberty of jumping chapters like I always do, cross-reference. We'll talk about the things that we should avoid, we should not do. But the point here is, if we do it, it becomes our future sanskar and future predominant guna.
So only indulgence leads to samskars, right? Like few things we have to make choices related to life, and we'll be presented only with few choices, even though we want something else. But those cannot create samskars, right? Those choices are not related to samskar.
They will, because anything that you are doing other than God, thinking it for the pleasure of God or keeping him in the equation, will again have three things in it, right? Sattva, rajas, or tamas. Everything is an interplay of guna only. If you are operating in Maya and leaving God out, then these three gunas, you can't escape these three gunas. Whether it's a choice you are making, whether it's a decision you are making, whether it is a work you are doing, everything is a play of gunas only.
Then what about the choices that we make, that we are forced to make, even though we don't like?
When you're forced to make, even you don't like, for example, if you do it as an acceptance that, okay, maybe God, that's your will, I'm going to align to it, then you have done a gunatit. You have already transcended gunas. But if you have made a choice reluctantly, oh my God, my life is bad and people are this, then you're getting into tamas. And if you're thinking, okay, let me make, this opportunity is there, I should do something good with it, you're in rajas. Or if you may get in sattva good, okay, it's a learning opportunity, it's an improving opportunity for myself. You might be in sattva, it really depends on how you take that particular thing. All three are there even then. Or if something that you can't solve, you accept as a will of God at times, right? Then you are becoming gunatit. So there's nothing where you can't exercise these four choices in every walk of life, whatever decision, act you are doing.
Okay.
We'll talk about Karam Yoga in great detail next week, so we'll get more deeper into this topic. Okay. All right. So with that, we come to our devotional segment, and we are going to have a very exciting presentation today. I would stop share and hand it over to our amazing participants who are going to present something that is going to blow our minds away today. No pressure. Go ahead, please.
Pallavi ji, you want to go? Or
do you have to present first? Then go ahead.
We have Pallavi ji, then we have Duo Sakti, and Payal ji. All three.
Okay. So today I will. I'll go first then. Yes.
We have a feast coming up today.
So offering Durga Bhajan on auspicious occasion of Navratri. Jagadambike Jai Jai Jagjanani Ma Jagadambike Jai Jai Jagjanani Ma Kya man har naam सुहाया मन हर नाम सुहाया है, मारूं सब कुछ माँ चरणों पर, मेरे मन को ये पाया है, जगदम्बिके जय जय जग जननी माँ। श्री राम तो ही, श्री कृष्ण तो ही, दुर्गा काली श्री राधा तो, मैं ब्रह्मा विष्णु शिव शंकर में तेरा ही तेज समाया है, तेरा ही तेज समाया है, जगदम्बिके जय जय जग जननी माँ। हे माँ जय माँ, जय माँ, जय माँ।
Pallavi, you are amazing singer. My mom, she would have loved it. She doesn't know how to put heart, but if she could, she would have put 1,000 hearts on this. Okay, I'll check it out with her. Very nice. She's a Devi Bhakt, and it was a beautifully rendered bhajan. So thank you so
This
much.
is my father's favorite Shri Hariom Singh Ji bhajans song bhajan, and my father also was a great Devi Bhakt.
Okay.
Yeah, so he must be. I hope he is in shelter of mother care.
Very nice. Thank you so much, and heartfelt gratitude for bringing it us on the occasion of Navratri. Loved it. Beautiful bhajan.
Thank you so much. Thank you for opportunity.
Thank you very much. The privilege is entirely ours. So thank you. All right, over to Sakhi Duo now.
Beautiful rendition, Pallavi ji. It was really soulful. And I have also received some message in the chat about your wonderful bhajan and singing. And there is one more message that I received from Samsung SM about Nitinji's presentation. And it's a very sweet message that if Swamiji's sugarcane tree, Nitinji is going to be fruits of that tree. Great presentation. Hats off for such nice presentation and explanations in total.
With all humility, I accept that, but it's like a comparison between a molehill and one swamp. Don't even put that, okay? Whatever is coming through, it's all Swamiji and Maharajji's grace. And the mistakes that I do, which you probably not know, I know my mistakes, okay? When I look at my video at times, I know the mistakes that I do. Those are coming from me, and all the things that you are able to connect to is coming directly from Swamiji and Maharajji. Okay, that's how I see that. So, but yeah, in all humility, thank you. It's a privilege to have you. If you are feeling the connect, and I think Maharajji and Swamiji have graced you, so please keep coming to the session. We'd love to hear more from you. And can I know your name, Samsung-ji? Shamsung-ji?
You can raise your hand and introduce yourself if you.
I think he was Ajit Ji. He told yesterday that he forgot to rename his.
No worries. Ajit Ji, it's a pleasure, and we'd love to hear from you and your presentation as well. And one of the days around Bhakti and all that stuff. I know we had a. Yes, please go ahead. I think he raised his hand.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Nitin Ji, I am totally pleased to see your presentation. First time having the wrestling, actually the wrestler you have put it. And with that, I got the idea that you should have subtitle Shravan, Manan and Nidhyasan. You should add Darshanam as well, because you are taking so much labor to make a presentation nice. So Darshanam is also having a very good impact over the bhakti. When we go to temple, we see the statue of the God, and that has our impact on our gunas as well. So you add darshanam as well. This is my comment. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Ajitji. Yeah, so the idea is to, I call it Tattva Gyan Dhyan. That is how I motivate myself. And picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So if you remember the picture, that concept will click back, and it's a, you know, our opportunity and you know, grace of Maharajji and Swamiji that we have this platform where we can, you know, do these things and do it in a manner which can help each other out. So I feel privileged to be, you know, getting this seva to do that on a regular basis. But thank you so much for your kind words, and we'd love to hear more from you, especially some of your presentations. Thank you, Ajitji. Let's move on.
And Ajitji had given a very good suggestion, which is like whatever bhajans we are singing in the session, if we can post their meaning in the community portal, it will be pretty. I think that's a great idea, right?
That's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Idea. Yes.
And please raise your hand or fill in the feedback tracker. We need really motivated, enthusiastic people who can put comments, you know, and create some buzz on the portal, because it can inspire more people. So we have people who will put in stuff, but we need more who can go in and put in the comments and create some buzz. Jyoti is putting a lot of hard work in coming up with summaries. Ankurji has taken an oath on fire to help us out as well. So, but we need more of it. You can come and create some buzz. I think it will be a huge seva, and it will go a long way in inspiring other people as well. We have about 900 participants, right? So if they say some of the value that we have, you know, we discuss in these sessions, it can come out on the portal with the interactions. It can go a long way in inspiring people and joining our sessions. And then, of course, we can, you know, and have more enriching discussions and help spread the message of Maharajji and Swamiji to more people. So that's how I look at it. So I would encourage you, put it in the feedback tracker, help us out, go to the portal, put in a comment, participate, you know, whatever 2, 3, 5 minutes you get, I think that will be a huge save as well. Okay. All right, Saki Duo. I think
yes.
Third time lucky, I think I'll get. I've called out your name twice. So
yes, Sandhya.
Yes, after what Pallaviji sang, we are just like little kids just trying something. That's it. So please, like apologies in advance if there is something that doesn't go that well.
Apology rejected. Let's go.
Rejected, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hari Hari Bol Bol Hari Bol.
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 Mukund Madhav Govind Bol.
Keshav Madhav Govind Bol.
Hari Hari Bol Bol Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol Bol Hari Bol.
Hari Rama 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 Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Radhe Govind
Govind Radhe.
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 Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol.
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful. That was a very noble idea, and you guys pulled it off so nicely. You know, the bhavs and the coordination and these naams and kirtan, wonderful. Big clap for Shefali and Sandhya, our Sakhi duo, who keep coming up with newer and newer ideas and innovative ideas. Beautifully done. Very nice.
Beautifully done. Yes.
We can do maybe with 3 people, and you know, we can make it much more bigger of a mashup. Maybe one of the sessions we should do that, just Hari Sankirtan and in a group. It will be very nice, right? And we can do that recording. It'll look very nice. We can create that and pass on the buck, and then we all do that with our screens on. It will look amazing, I'm telling you. Right? Maybe
very creative and very well coordinated.
Very well coordinated. Thank you very much. Keep it up.
Keep it up. Yeah.
All right.
Pali and Sandhya, great job.
Great job. Great job. Loved it. And I think you have given up some more ideas that we can explore now that you pulled it off like this. We'll go with that. Beautiful. All right, over to you, Payalji then.
Yeah, lot of praise, lot of appreciation.
Yeah, I can just
and
Sakshi duo. They're saying Sakshi duo, not Sakhi duo. So okay. Great.
Payalji.
Duo, loved it.
I don't see her hand raised. Okay. Oh.
Yes, Payalji, all yours.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Radhe Radhe. What a coincidence, Nitinji. I prepared the same song today, Hari Hari Bol.
That's okay. Let's do that.
And I was, oh God, that was like, seriously. I mean, I was that song was playing in my head, and suddenly Sandhya ji started singing the same song. I mean, just loved it.
Krishna is mischievous, right? Now I'm convinced that Krishna plays tricks with you. So let's go for it.
Certainly.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll sing some other bhajan today. Okay.
You can run time. You can change it. That's even more amazing.
Okay. Should I try that same one?
Whichever one you want to go with.
Okay. Okay, I'll sing other one. Yeah.
Sure.
जग में सुंदर है तू नाम, चाहे कृष्ण कहो या राम, बोलो राम 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 बोलो श्याम श्याम श्याम, जग में सुंदर है दो नाम, चाहे कृष्ण कहो या राम, बोलो राम 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 बोलो श्याम श्याम श्याम, बोलो राम 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 बोलो श्याम श्याम श्याम। एक कंस पापी को मारे, एक दुष्ट रावण संहारे, एक कंस पापी को मारे, एक दुष्ट रावण संहारे, दोनों दीन के दुख हरत है, दोनों बल के धाम, चाहे कृष्ण कहो या राम, जग में सुंदर है दो नाम, चाहे कृष्ण कहो या राम, बोलो राम 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 बोलो श्याम श्याम श्याम, बोलो राम 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 बोलो श्याम श्याम श्याम, बोलो राम 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 बोलो श्याम श्याम श्याम। Radhe Radhe. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Payalji, like always. I think you listen to a lot of Anup Chulota, right? Very nice bhajan. It's a very soul-stirring bhajan. Reminds me of, maybe I'll sing a couple of lines from that, Swamiji that sings about Ram and Krishna. I love that part. So I'll go for it, couple of lines. रघुराज कहें यदुराज कहें, तुम रूप अनूप दिखाते हो, कभी धनुष बाण धरि आते हो, कभी मुरली मधुर बजाते हो, जय जय राम 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 Jai Jai Shyam Shyam Shyam, Jai Jai Ram Ram Ram, Jai Jai Shyam Shyam Shyam. All right, so with that, we come to the end of our session. I think I enjoyed it thoroughly, especially the devotional segment, and I hope the feeling is mutual. You enjoyed the Tattva Gyan as well as the devotional aspect of it. Tomorrow we'll focus on stuff that we should watch out for. So we will get into the Tamas Kund. We'll dissect that wrestler a little more tomorrow and have another discussion. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Stay blessed. Stay devoted, fill yourself with inspiration. Have a wonderful day, great rest of your evening, and let's keep on reflecting before we go to sleep where we can improve, what are the things where we went wrong, how we can do it better the next day. That one thing, it's exercise carried over for a period of couple of months can bring in amazing difference in your personality, trust me. Okay, that's a tool which is coming directly from Maharajji. Okay, so just keep practicing that and see how it goes. Thank you again. Radhe Radhe. Good night, good day, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Nitinji. Thanks to all of you.